Hey guys, Mike here, and welcome to another episode of Dragon Ball, Plot Holes and Inconsistencies, a show where we talk about the plot holes and inconsistencies in the Dragon Ball Z anime and manga. The inconsistency we're going to talk about in this episode has to do with characters when they die getting to keep their bodies. When Goku dies for the first time in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, he meets with King Yama alongside Kami. At this point, Goku is told that great heroes who have spent their lives fighting for good and who have fought to save their planets are allowed to keep their bodies in the afterlife. As we also see, all others who go to the afterlife come there as spirits. They exist in an incorporeal form and they cannot keep their bodies. This is meant to apply either for heaven or hell. This was meant to make Goku seem special, and in fact we're even told that this was actually a special case. Now, although Toriyama did go out of his way to establish this rule in the manga, there's many cases during the series in which this is contradicted. So exactly how is this contradicted, and where does this inconsistency appear? Well, let's take a more detailed look at this and find out. Now, as we know with Goku's death, he was allowed to go and train with King Kai on his planet, so that in 1 year he would be able to be resurrected with the Dragon Balls and help to fight off the Saiyan invasion. Later, as we found out, after many of Goku's friends died at the hands of the Saiyans and Goku is on his way to Namek, he is contacted by King Kai to tell him that his friends have made it to King Kai's planet and are now training with him. This would all make sense because of the fact that the Z Fighters were all students of Kami, the god of the earth, and gave their lives trying to save the planet from the evil Saiyans. However, at this point, an inconsistency is created in how the rules work in the afterlife. The reason for this is because the fact that one of their members was not a Z Fighter and was not training under Kami, nor did he accomplish good deeds throughout the course of his life. This character training with King Kai would be none other than Piccolo. Now, although we can contend that Piccolo did sacrifice his life trying to save Gohan and trying to save the Earth from the Saiyans, up until this point in time, Piccolo was not a good guy by any stretch of the imagination, and the entire reason he was actually training Gohan was for his own selfish purposes. As Piccolo made sure to reiterate, his plans for world domination were still very much in effect. Piccolo in Dragon Ball was also responsible for a number of terrible acts which he committed, one of which was actually enslaving Kami, the god of the earth. And up until the fight with Raditz, Piccolo was consumed with the idea of surpassing and killing Goku so that he could take over the world. And in fact, he actually did do this when he killed Raditz, and he took much pleasure in killing Goku. And also, if we actually take into account the fact that Piccolo was a reincarnation of King Piccolo, and when he fought Goku in the tournament claimed to still be King Piccolo, then it's very possible to also apply the fact that King Piccolo was a genocidal maniac that destroyed most of human civilization and killed millions of people throughout the course of his life. So despite how Piccolo died, it's kind of an inconsistency that he was ever allowed to keep his body or train with King Kai in the first place. But actually, this isn't the first inconsistency about a villain keeping their body in the series. As a matter of fact, just after King Yama spoke to Goku, Goku asked him if his brother Raditz had stopped by. King Yama confirmed that he had come to the check-in station, and King Yama actually had to subdue him in order to sentence him to hell. The inconsistencies in the series actually get larger from here. This is especially true if we take into account the anime. Another big example of the villains being allowed to keep their bodies after they die in the anime takes place during the fight with Frieza. At this point in the anime, when the Z Fighters are training with King Kai enlists a little bit of help to help them along their training. The Z Fighters actually find that the recently killed Ginyu Force has found themselves on King Kai's planet. The Z Fighters quickly dispose of the Ginyu Force, showing their great results under King Kai's training. Once they're defeated, the Ginyu Force is kicked off of King Kai's planet and sent down to hell, bodies and all. However, this doesn't mesh with the series in that people who die who are evil are not supposed to keep their bodies afterwards. When we flash forward to the Cell Saga, there's yet again another inconsistency that pops up. After Goku bravely sacrifices himself to save the Earth and kills King Kai and destroys his world in the process, King Kai and Goku appear on Snake Way as spirits. After Goku takes notice, he tells King Kai that Cell isn't with them and wonders if that's weird. King Kai then tells Goku that if Cell is not with them, he must still be alive. As he says, just like them, Cell should have gone to Snake Way when he died. Of course, this is another inconsistency, considering the fact that when Cell dies, even if he went to that same location, he should no longer have his body. Also, after this, the anime takes this to much greater extents during the Otherworld Tournament filler arc. Instead of going to heaven, Goku arrives on Grand Kai's planet to train. Once he gets there, he finds out that Cell's recent arrival to Hell has started stirring up things, and he and the other villains are now trying to take over and cause a coup. Goku and Pikkon actually go down to Hell and fight with Cell, Frieza, his father, and the Ginyu Force, and they defeat them pretty easily, especially with Pikkon taking out the heavy hitters. But even after they're defeated, these villains keep their bodies, and thus this just becomes another inconsistency that the anime contributes to. Later on in the Buu arc, this only seems to get worse as well. The first big example of this would have to be when Goku returns from the Earth and appears before King Yama. Goku asks King Yama if Gohan has come through there yet, since Goku still believes Gohan to be dead. King Yama responds that he hasn't yet, but then goes on to start talking about Deborah. He talks about how he realized Deborah was a really strong guy and came through there causing trouble. King Yama, knowing that he was the king of the demon world, sent Deborah to heaven instead of hell because he said that Deborah would have loved hell. Now, although it's only shown happening in the anime, this still implies that Deborah had his body when he came through there. And if he went to heaven, it's likely that he got to keep it. This is actually only one of the strange decisions that King Yama makes in this saga. Later on, after the death of Vegeta, we actually find out that King Yama preserved his body as a backup plan to have someone to go after Buu to prevent him from destroying the universe. So although when Vegeta sacrifices his life in a failed effort to try and defeat Buu, and Piccolo specifically tells him that he'll go to hell, lose his body, and have his soul purified, King Yama actually saves Vegeta's body, which Vegeta ends up getting back and then revived later on. And of course, the final and most glaring inconsistency in the series would definitely have to be during the fight between Goku and Kid Buu. As during this fight, we see all of the villains that Goku and his friends have defeated over the course of Dragon Ball Z, all watching him fight Kid Buu from hell. And even the most recently killed Babidi shows up to help cheer on Goku and hope that he defeats Buu for killing him. Although many people, and likely Toei, saw this as a good way to sum up the series by having all of them watch Goku's final fight with the final antagonist, this also really helped to sum up and epitomize this inconsistency in a nutshell. Overall, I can't exactly think of any particular reason why this rule changed so often throughout the series, aside from general inconsistency and how Toriyama himself writes. Just as many other rules change throughout the series, this is no different, and it's likely that it continued to change over and over as the plot dictated. Well, my name is Mike, and this has been another episode of Dragon Ball, Plot Holes and Inconsistencies. Tell me your own thoughts in the comments section, what you thought of this video, and what you'd like me to talk about in the future. Also, if you have any other questions, don't forget to check out my Ask FN, which will be in the description. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future. And you better subscribe!